joined IIT Roorkee. And I was actually very lucky to have a group of extremely smart peers with me. Competitors have entered the industry and they are driving change either through technology or business model. Explain people the intention and they feel that you are transparent. I think state of the art API gateway that can handle billions of transactions annually without any issue. And we
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, the podcast series by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm Priya George, and today we are incredibly honored to be joined by a visionary leader who's been at the forefront of digital transformation and product innovation. Today, we have with us Mr. Sandeep Singh, an artificial intelligence entrepreneur and a product leader. With over 15 years of experience leading digital-first initiatives across industries like fintech, healthcare, and e-commerce, Sandeep has been a driving force behind groundbreaking advancements. His work has helped transform companies into AI-first enterprises, achieving impressive growth in revenue, customer base, and product offerings. In this episode, we'll be discussing Sandeep's journey from his early years at IIT Roorkee to IIM Bangalore to spearheading major digital transformations at AuthBridge, HealthCart, and ClearTax. We'll dive into his insights on AI-driven product development, scaling businesses through technology, and how digital transformation is reshaping industries. Sandeep, thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you here, and we are eager to hear your thoughts on these transformative topics.
Thanks for having me as a part of the podcast. Looking forward to the interaction.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, we'll dive right in. So, Sandeep, when I look at your career, it's clear that you've been at the intersection of technology, innovation, business growth for a long time now. Now, from your early years at IIT Roorkee to leading product transformations at AuthBridge and HealthCart, you've always been on the cutting edge of digital change. So let's go back to the beginning. We all have those pivotal moments when we first realize the power of technology and its potential in business. Was there a moment for you in your journey early on where you thought to yourself, this is where I can really make a difference?
So, if I look back at my early days, my interest in physics is what actually led me to, start preparing for the IIT JEE exam. Post which, after clearing that, I joined IIT Roorkee. And I was actually very lucky to have a group of extremely smart peers with me. And through those interactions, through, working with them, studying with them, playing with them, I think I started developing as an individual. There were actually one or two experiences which I want to talk about, which created a lifelong interest in, me when I, look at a problem, how do I start solving it through technology? First was my internship, which I did in IBM Software Labs in Pune, where this was in about 2005, where I worked in a team that was trying to create a video calling platform, similar to Zoom or Teams, which we have today. And it was cutting edge at that time because it involved working with very low bandwidths. How do you do tons of, compression so that you can work? Even how do two people do a video call at that point of time? And applications then were starting to form in my mind, how do, for example, in a country like India, can you enable telehealth? That was one very great interaction with a very smart group of peers on the business front that I worked with. Second was after I came back, I also did a research project in IIT Roorkee where I worked with very senior professors, and we were trying to transmit MRI images on internet. So say MRI is done at a regional or a a small city and then a doctor in a bigger city can look at it, how do you transmit? And those images are pretty heavy, 1 GB. At that point of time, transmitting
Got
1
it.
GB of a single image was very difficult. So how do you do that? And in a lossless manner, you don't want to compress the image so much that the entire lesion or entire area is not very clear. And this was something,
Got it.
these were two, three moments that started, where I started understanding the concepts that I have studied and what are the practical business examples of that. And that is something which then I continued, and it kind of became a passion for me about solving problems using technology.
Right. So it was from concepts to context. I mean,
Right.
you got that into practice. And what I also gathered from your journey, it's important to surround yourselves with the right kind of people who kind of inspire you to achieve your dreams, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. So thank you for sharing that with us. And like I mentioned, it's clear that those early moments, transformative moments, if I might say, really laid the foundation for your leadership today. You've successfully helped transform legacy companies into digital first enterprises, driving substantial growth. So, what have been some of the most challenging obstacles that you've faced, and how did you overcome them?
See, I think legacy company is something which, a lot of people, especially a lot of youngsters today, view legacy companies as old companies, right? But let me first define a legacy company for the audience here. Legacy
Sure.
company is a company
Yes.
which, over a period of time, right, sometimes decades, where they have perfected a business model and along with it an operational model that drives consistent return for all stakeholders. We call them legacy because they have been there for a while, but they have been doing that one thing which they came to after multiple iterations and doing it right and making money. I think that's what a legacy
Got it.
company is, or a company that has been there for a while. Uh, why are they actually driven towards change? I think some of the reasons which I can think of, one can be radical shift in technology which has happened. The second can be some competitors have entered the industry and they are driving change either through technology or business model innovation or both. Sometimes there are regulatory
Got
issues
it.
where a regulation forces people to change. And sometimes a company tries to preempt the change by looking at a global market, some underlying technology change, and then they say, "Okay, let me preempt and make my business model foolproof for the future." Though this is slightly rare in India, but this is also one of the reasons. Now, if you actually look at this legacy company or a company that has been there for a while, there are three levels in a company like this. One is the lowest level,
Okay.
where people are doing a repeatable job. It's like where their day-to-day work is so codified that they have to do it in a manner which is repeatable and consistent over a period of time. This is like they have to do the business as usual, like clockwork.
Got it.
Then there is a middle level, uh, or in fact, there is a lower level, there is a topmost senior level which wants change. They are seeing various trends in the
Hmm.
market, they are seeing some process evaluation, they are seeing competitors enter. So they are at another, frequency, and the lower level is completely involved in, doing their 8 hours right. And then there is a middle level which is kind of confused, which is being told you have to change, but they also have to deliver on the day-to-day things. And this is where I see, legacy companies slightly struggling, or there is a
Got it.
challenge of, doing it fast, yet what you have learned over a 20-30 year period to keep doing that right. Now, actually, over the last decade, I have also learned this the hard way, and how doing technology or how creating a product is still easy, but driving transformation at scale with human beings uh, is something which is difficult. Some of the challenges as you do a transformation, which I see are one challenge is separating the noise and defining the right problems to be solved.
Hmm.
Typically, there are too many things, and then for a senior manager or senior management will say A, B, C, D, E. What is right? What has to be done now versus what can be ignored? What is not right for you, and all of it. Secondly,
Yeah.
creating a roadmap that starts giving returns in the short term. Primarily, this is important because typically resources for any new change might be lower initially. You have to give a proof of concept, and then you will get more resources. So this is something which has to be done. Yet you have to keep a focus on the long term, and keep ensuring that every
Hmm.
small term win is helping you take towards that long term. So there should be a clear roadmap, which as a transformation leader should be there, especially when you're trying
Hmm.
to drive change in a legacy company. Third is creating a culture of inclusive growth where the middle management ultimately leads the transformation. They are someone who,
Got
or
it.
they should not feel threatened by it. And the lowest level should feel that the incremental change that is happening is something which will make their organization thrive for a longer period of time. So this is
Hmm.
something which you have to drive. Like I'll give you an example. Initially, when I in at Dr. Lal, where I spent about 5 years, I was
Yes.
struggling with certain resistance from their core IT department, and because we were actually, or the team that I created were being seen as outsiders, so I brought in a couple of people from inside the company as a part of my team. These were two guys who had
Hmm.
spent 10 years in the company. They understood everything, and then they became kind of the change agents which started bringing people along.
Hmm.
So I can talk about numerous examples as we go ahead, but the larger idea is driving change is hard, and you have to take people along, and people who are driving that change should not feel threatened.
Got it. So, is it safe to say that change, I think changing when you're talking about transformative change, I and like you mentioned, most humans are resistant to any kind of change once we get into a zone of comfort. But I wanted to know whether, as a leader, you have experienced a lot of resistance. I think it's like the mindset, because something which is not as tangible as, say, a product, you right?
Yeah.
So you talked about that in your response as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's
So
mainly about changing mindsets.
right. So yeah, I think Priya, you rightly talked about changing mindset. That is something which you have to keep doing as a leader. Uh, you have to deal this change with a soft touch. People have to come on board. People have to feel themselves that this is something which will help me as an individual. Yet you have to be ruthless on the timeline. You have to ensure that it's not going to take
Hmm.
forever. So all of this has to be balanced. What I have also seen is if you explain people the intention and they feel
Hmm.
that you are transparent, I think people do come on board. They are very helpful. And I think being
Absolutely.
transparent, being genuine is the key. Not trying to obfuscate or confuse the situation, being honest, being transparent. There might be things you may not know. So, how do you come also as a learner and learn from them? Say, I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to iterate. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your response and a very interesting perspective, which leads me to my next question. Clearly, you have navigated, different technical challenges, and you've also managed to align the team through, massive shifts. And what stood out for me really was your ability to blend innovation along with people management. Uh, and it's often the human side of transformation that makes all the difference,
Right.
right? So at AuthBridge, you've pioneered AI first solutions serving over 2,000 enterprise clients across India.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through the process of conceptualizing and executing your product and technology strategy to make such a large scale impact?
Got it. So, AuthBridge is a 20-year-old firm which is right now India's leading trust and authentication firm that establishes credibility in the data that is being given for a range of solutions. So I'll give you an example. So that can data can be, say, an individual is going for a job, and they are disclosing that I am so and so, these are my credentials, and this is my education, and so and so. Someone has to verify that if there is any fraud in that or wrong disclosure in that. The same thing, this is their core
Hmm.
business, which in India we call as background verification. And they were the
Okay.
ones who pioneered this in India, and now practically all major enterprises get their background verification done through them. The other aspects of their business right now, which got established in the last 2, 3 years, are third party verification. Same, if you are trying to onboard a dealer or a distributor or a vendor, and they are disclosing I am paying my GST on time, or I am able to manage my books properly, I will do this. Is that information right? Are there any court cases against that person, etc., for which my inventory can be in a problem tomorrow? Similar information when someone is taking a loan, they are giving their information. So on internet now, people are disclosing their information either correctly or sometimes in a manner which may not be correct every single day. And hence there is a need for
Okay.
companies like AuthBridge to check if this information is right or not. Right. So AuthBridge AuthBridge had a very pivotal moment at during COVID. So pre-COVID, they were largely working as a KPO with 2,000 people, 2,500 odd people doing manual verifications, right? So doing tons of manual
Okay.
work. And post COVID, they realized that they needed to do it in a touchless manner. They had to be instant. And because a lot of, all single interaction or all major interactions had moved on the digital front. And there were a lot of new startups that were, beginning to take the market share away. This really started accelerating during COVID. So the change which
Okay.
I was talking about in a legacy company, here it was primarily coming because there were a lot of technology changes, young competitors who were trying to come in, and COVID, which was once in a 100-year event, which kind of accelerated all what was happening earlier. So then, I came in and I started understanding, okay, what they were doing. And I and my team, we built a strategy focused on 5 core areas. First core area was we created a list of 200 odd capabilities for instant verification, and we created a state-of-the-art API gateway that can handle billions of transactions annually without any issue. And we partnered with everyone from government to government, quasi-government bodies, etc., to enable touchless instant verifications. The second part was for certain data, we created proprietary databases, which kind of became our intellectual property. Like, for example, court cases. No one in India
Hmm.
has the kind of court cases data that we have. So we applied a lot of AIML search capabilities on that to find a court case against a particular person. So this was the second pillar of my strategy. Third pillar was
Okay.
a low code, no code platform, so that say a business wants a certain journey. For example, I just want to capture 4 fields versus someone wants to capture 10 fields, do a test in between all of them. All of that, it can be done very quickly. There is no coding required there. So we did that.
Okay.
Apart from these, there were two technical capabilities that we had. First was implementing AI. Pre 2022, AI was very different from what it is right now. So, it was classical AI powered by BERT models. And you had to put human annotators to train and label the data, and then you had to enter it in a system and create models. And post 2022, the scenario came of Gen AI, where data extraction, fraud detection, tampering detection became very easy because they are pre-trained models. We also created a retrieval augmented generation based chatbot for our sales team and for customer support, etc. So as a fourth pillar, AI became an integral part of all our processes. Primarily because we had to, make the process instant. We had to make the process touchless. We had to make the process reduce the errors that were there, which human or the people were creating. And the last part, which was most critical, which we have created very recently, is a blockchain-based identity management system. Now, why is blockchain required? Primarily because we wanted to give control of user data back to the user. If, for example, I am verifying your education or your employment or your Aadhaar or your PAN, right? you can imagine all your data is right now spread everywhere on the internet. And this is not a very sustainable model where all of this data should be only in the individual's control. And say if you are going to a hotel and you just want your Aadhaar to be verified and you don't want to give a printout and that remains in someone's file forever. So there you will just share it for 12 hours, 24 hours, it will be checked and then it can be expunged off from the source database where it was given. So all of this, then you know, okay, my
Okay.
data has been shared with these 20 people, 19 people के साथ I have removed the connection while one is still having it for 6 months.
Hmm.
So these were the five
Okay.
pillars on which I created, and it has taken us about 3 years to establish all of it. And right now we have established a lead in the entire BGV industry. We are way ahead of everyone. And we have also launched the new businesses which I talked about in the dealer, vendor, distributor verification. And we have also doubled our market share in the BFSI sector. So we were at a smallish share, but now we have doubled and we are now poised to grow it exponentially because we have lot of code capabilities which banks and financial institutions need. So this is where we are, and it has been a very exciting journey. Transformation here was uh, slightly difficult only on the front because it's a very, very fast moving market, and the entire Gen AI wave which came in really disrupted even what we were thinking.
Hmm.
So this was
Hmm.
yeah, very interesting phase of my career.
Thank you. That's really impressive, Sandeep. And it's clear how your strategic thinking and leadership were key in shifting AuthBridge to an AI first model. So it's exciting to see how tech can drive such massive business transformation. At Dr. Lal Path you led the company through significant digital and customer experience transformation. What was the most rewarding aspect of scaling the online business, and what impact did this have on customer engagement?
Yeah. So Dr. Lal is an iconic brand that has been there
Correct.
now for more than 5 decades actually, highly trusted by doctors and
Correct.
patients. And they have primarily grown at least till 2015 through a largely retail model with a mix of company-owned stores and partner stores or franchisee stores. And there was a need for change, which was primarily coming in because there was a shift in customer expectations to digital channels. From 2011 onwards, actually, e-commerce started scaling in India. People were buying a lot online. So they were wanting, can I get a diagnostic booking done online? Now, why is this online, right? Because diagnostics as an experience is no fun, right? Imagine you have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and drive your car, be empty stomach, maybe have a full bladder, go for a blood test
Correct.
at 6:30, sit in a queue and then give your sample and then come back. It is not a
Correct.
good experience which people were wanting. People were wanting, okay, can the person come to my home? Can I book all of this online? Can I get my report in the evening online? Can I get all my reports in one place? So there were lots of this
Yes.
chatter happening. And this need for transformation is something which was led by the board and the management, that this is where the industry can go to. We are seeing early signs in the e-commerce. We are also seeing doctor booking happening online. So this is something which will happen. And this is an example where the company tried to preempt and tried to do. It is pretty rare because none of the aggregators had also established by then. So they decided that we will
Okay.
start going in this direction. And they decided to create a team. And then, I and my team, we started working on it. We first spent about few months to understand the customer needs because this was something which was not attempted anywhere earlier. What are the nascent customer or latent needs that are not very known? And then in parallel, how does the company operate, and then create solutions that can, start small and quickly scale. Like one learning I want to talk about is, say you give someone a slot, someone will come to your home at
Hmm.
7 a.m. That person can maximum come
Okay.
by 7:05. He cannot come by like 8 o'clock. While if you look at e-commerce,
Hmm.
leaving aside the quick commerce thing which has happened now, it was always like a large e-commerce firm will say your order, your iPhone will get delivered today till 10 p.m. So they have a
Correct.
longer time. This needed that very precise slot. So
Absolutely.
hence, because someone may be sitting empty stomach, someone may be a diabetic, maybe old and waiting.
Correct.
So you have to be very, very accurate. So you had to create a mobility solution. You had to create backups of people. For example, someone backed out, not coming in the morning,
Hmm.
and then order routing. So all of that had to be created in the model. And it took about 2 years to set it up. It went through about 15 to 18 iterations in this period to come to a right model, which is profitable, which how much you charge for this home collection and all of it. And ultimately, this not only helped improve the customer experience significantly, it helped the company, so Delhi NCR was the strongest market and still is, primarily because this is something
Hmm.
which they enabled early on. They were also
Hmm.
able to launch new businesses in new business lines on the health checkups part, on the chronic care, which is basically someone who is having a chronic disease and needs regular testing. All of that can be managed very
Correct.
well online. There was also a lot of effort done by the team in reducing, for example, queues at the store because some tests will require going at the store, radiology, etc. Back-end digitization, blood sample
Yes.
logistics between different
Yes.
labs. All of this was done in lab digitization. So a lot of effort was done in this direction to ensure that your errors reduce, your turnaround time of a report can be a lot lesser. So all of this was done over a 4 5 year period, and in fact still is happening. And a lot of new roles were created in the company as the company shifted from a traditional model to a new way of working. So a lot of people came into these newer roles who were earlier working in an earlier different role. And then, it started becoming business as usual for the company. So it was a very rewarding experience. I think
Correct.
I had been using the brand since 10, 12 years. I had heard of them and my parents had been using. So it was a very proud moment to be
Yeah.
associated and working with them. Yeah.
Understandably so. And but this is slightly it's I'm going off the script a little bit. So what you did with Dr. Lal Path Labs, if it's okay with you, could you share which year was this when you all bought about this kind of digitization to the processes that were already happening in the
Yeah. So
organization?
so I joined them early 2015 and their IPO was
Okay.
actually planned end of 2015. So I joined them very early in 2015 and till the time I was there till about mid of 2019. Uh, this was something which I and my team were doing, and people after me have
Okay.
also taken this on and built on top of it.
So this happened in 2015, around that time. And late 2019, 2020, COVID hit. Uh, and I think this is something, this is like truly, I think, visionary, because at the later, a lot of hospitals, a lot of pathology labs
Right,
started adopting this business model that you just spoke about. It
right,
became
right.
very popular.
Yeah. No,
But
absolutely.
this is
Because
something you'll have done before, like, did y'all ever predict that it would take on? I mean, it would flourish the way it did.
so, honestly, see, I think first of all, I like to appreciate the entire vision of the board uh, and the founder in imagining that this is the experience which people want, and then bringing a team early on. When they see that this change is going to happen. So having that right vision, the entire credit goes to the board and the chairman. And honestly, when we were executing it, it was a challenge. Because we were trying to do something which was earlier in the market, and though after when the COVID hit and everyone, this was the only way to reach out and do it right. So then this became as the major
Correct.
channel for at least for a full year. So yeah, I think though I will give the entire credit to the board and for having that vision and investing well in time and not trying very late, and then not having the right experience for the people. Because if you remember COVID, it was a major spike, and all the errors that we had seen over a period of time, if we had not seen them at small scale, it would not have been possible to manage at such a huge scale. uh, so this is something which most companies, and we'll talk about AI ahead. I think there is another kind of challenge which is
Yes.
coming, and companies have to be ready for it today rather than waiting for the tsunami to hit home. So
Absolutely. So I think what the organization at Dr. Lal Path Labs and what your team did was truly visionary in the true sense of term, if I may say so. And it's amazing to see, Sandeep, how your leadership not only drove impressive revenue growth, but also enhanced customer engagement. So, your strategic focus on using AI for fraud detection, risk identification, transaction processing has been groundbreaking. So, how do you see AI evolving in the next 5 years? And what role will it play in shaping industries like fintech, HR, and identity management?
uh, so honestly, it is very difficult to imagine 5 years with AI right now, because the kind of things that we are seeing, it's changing every single month.
It's
And every
fast.
single month
Yes.
is very exponentially different from what we have seen earlier. But I'll try and make a informed guess. So, see, in the last pre-2022, AI was relatively slow. It required human annotators to label, as I was talking about samples. Use cases were few in between, but it was being worked on. And then in 2022 came the ChatGPT moment, and though OpenAI was working on it for I think 7 years, and it changed everything as one single model that can understand human beings and talk with human beings. So that is something which came. Over the last 2 years, I have seen use cases of data extraction. So extracting data from any kind of document you give it, you can extract data, you can ask it to make sense of it. We have used it in multiple use cases at AuthBridge and judgment copies, or forms that people are filling. But there are tons of use
Hmm.
cases you must have seen on internet.
Hmm.
Then it can generate text, so it can
Yeah.
generate email, it can write articles, it can create images, and those are also now being used across companies at some scale. Some companies are using it at smallish level, some are at medium level. I am also beginning to see, use of these technologies integrated into softwares that we use. For example, your email, your Gmail, etc., is now integrating
Hmm.
right with AI. HRMS softwares
Correct.
will be integrating ERP softwares, but that is still a incremental thing. How do you assist a human being is what we are currently today at. I think the change which is
Hmm.
going to happen over the next 3 years, starting 2025, 26, 27, it will be at its peak, will be, rather than just giving some information or some text or some image or some music to a human being, it will start doing stuff. Right?
Hmm.
And
Ah.
doing stuff actually involves three, four aspects. One is memory, one is reasoning ability, where you can
Hmm.
understand a problem, break it down into three, four smaller things to be
Yeah.
done. Then accessing tools to get it done, right? And then fourth part can be actually accessing a human laptop or accessing a laptop and then executing tasks. Some files may be stored there, etc. So this is something which all those three, four things which I talked about are happening today only at different areas, smaller scales. I suspect that over the next 24 months, there will be AI agents or agents, or
Oh.
we also call them AI agents. We call them digital humans, which will be sending emails, which will be booking calendars, booking flight tickets, ordering food, allowing a delivery agent to enter your society. All of this, in case you have ordered food, and not like that, managing your health appointments, all of that will be done by an AI agent. Now you can imagine, right, when all of such tasks started getting done by autonomous agents, it practically changes everything. It changes two things. One, the kind of use cases that India has so far worked on, which I will talk about later, but it starts changing the way we work. We had most of us keep doing 70-80% of the task, which is repetitive task. And then when you have autonomous agents assisting you, first fear that comes to the mind is, will so many people be required? That is something which people are beginning to talk about. But there is going to be a very drastic change. And all of these things are happening today only at small scale. So, you will see companies plugging all of
Mm,
this and start creating use cases very quickly. There is a big wave which is already there in US,
mm,
where tons of vertical AI agents are being created. And so this is something which will continue over the next 2-3 years, and you will have agents across industries. Post that, I believe new use cases which we can't think of today will start coming in. So if you imagine when Google Maps came in, which was a
right,
substitute of the physical map, people were using it only to go from distance A to distance B, or to find out, okay, how far is this, where is this, right? Which you used a map. But
correct.
then few years down the line, a company like Uber came, which created a new business model based on maps, which is booking a taxi
Based
near
on
you,
it.
right?
Yeah,
That takes time because you can't
got it.
imagine it unless you have seen it. And I think this is something which will have a lot of impact on humans, and we will have to find new areas of work where core human essence is needed. I think that is something which we can't easily perceive of today, but and this is something which is going to happen over the next 2-3 years. On this also exposes a lot of challenges on information security. So world will have challenges where humans will want to control their own data, their finances, and
Mm,
sometimes major decisions of their
yeah,
life they won't want. Like ordering a food is okay, but for example, on various points, say, will an AI agent suggest a date to a human being or someone to marry and all of that? So there will be
correct.
things where those boundaries would be drawn. And I believe even in this entire human area, there will be tons of new companies that will get created, which will separate what decision you
Mm,
want to take yourself versus what you want to give to an agent. And again, a lot of opportunities are awaiting in this area. So this is going to be a very, I'll not say exciting for everybody, because it is going to be very strenuous, because a lot of things which we have learned over a period of time will have to be unlearned today. And but it
mm,
is something which is here, and we will have to make the best use of it, and for the organizations and for the country.
absolutely. Thank you very much for your response. And I'm reminded of a quote which says, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And clearly, with the brief time that I've had talking to you, um, you have definitely demonstrated this throughout your career. As you look to the future, how do you see yourself continuing to create the next phase of your journey? Do you envision yourself stepping into more senior leadership roles or board level positions to drive a broader change?
Got it. So I have 15 years of experience in product creation, technology architecture, business growth, and digital transformation. So across healthcare, media, e-commerce, fintech, and HR. And having worked in senior management, I actually understand how important a role a board plays in strategy formulation, thinking long term, doing the right things, taking all stakeholders along, and bringing a non-executive view, which is basically not the execution view, but more of, guidance, strategy, etc. view, because someone who is involved in day-to-day work
Planning.
needs to then take a step back. So board plays a
Yeah.
stellar role in the growth and the success of the company. Till now, actually, India has been, or many parts of India have been a doer, where we are kind of doing work for the Western world, where, for
Yes,
example,
being led.
yes. So it might be coding, it might be BPO, it might be KPO, it might be some research, and then giving them the output in a prescribed manner. I think this is all at a risk of what I talked about, what is coming, because all of these autonomous
Mm,
agents, like coding, for example, done by a AI agent is 95 to 98% at the best AI coder or best human software engineers level right now. So you can imagine the upheaval
yeah.
which is going to come in. So as it is coming in, right, boards in these companies will need to evolve the offerings very quickly, rapidly, innovate, and ensure that at least the returns can be met in the future. They will also need to reskill and redeploy the talent, which will get displaced, which is anyway going to happen. And all of this, while this is going to happen very quickly, there are going to be challenges, but it is also an opportunity, because if you look at it, every single company in that industry will all be at the same starting point. So those who can take this and move in the better direction, faster direction, will be able to take a leadership view. So it's like a rare reset which is going to happen. And even in
Okay.
companies that are not in the IT sector or BPO sector, also they need to use the AI technology to give a brand new customer experience which will be wanted. Say someone who is in a retail or someone who is in a say a hospital business, retail business, it's not going to be business as usual, for example, where you have to stand in a queue to get an OPD appointment. Or I'll give an example, someone if you have to get discharged from a hospital, it takes few hours, right? Why should it take that much time? So
Correct.
all of this is going to change, and those that can give this kind of a better experience will capture a lot of customers. I believe that this is something which I will love to contribute in, either in a leadership role or in a board position role, and will want to be a part of this journey in India.
Thank you. And I think that's a very powerful vision, Sandeep. Moving forward, how do you think good corporate governance can help organizations make better decisions and build stronger relationships with their stakeholders?
Companies see that are going public today are the ones that were created in the last 12 to 15 years, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Zomato and Swiggy's of the world. And I believe the ongoing focus
Yeah.
on profitability, which is now there on every single company, especially the venture funded companies, you will see hundreds of more companies trying to list on the stock market in the next 3 to 4 years. It is also primarily because founders know that a public listing is kind of a gold standard for getting access to funds and taking their companies global. So they want to do the right
Hmm.
thing. But these companies have also, been created out of a hustle culture, right? They need modern corporate governance practices badly to ensure that they can sustain and do the right things and be accountable, be transparent to all the stakeholders. So this will involve, rejigging the way they have collected data, the way they are disclosing, the way they are taking decisions, all of it. And I think this is something which is very important, because as they scale, even one scenario of corporate governance failure will not just take down the company, but it will impact the investors in that company, who were the VC investors,
Correct.
private equity investors, because they will have trouble answering to their limited partners. There will be a permanent mistrust by the customers, and more importantly, it will impact the ecosystem and the country, because if so many companies are listing and if few of them have those issues. So I believe corporate governance is going to play a major role, and that is why I am very interested in it. And I have seen some great examples of corporate governance in companies like Dr. Lal PathLab, where even before listing, they had a practice of always doing right. And this is something which was carried along even when they went public, doing right for all stakeholders and never cutting corners. I think this is something which was their core motto, and every single decision which they took was keeping in mind all the stakeholders. In some private companies, I have seen even examples that are, we will say are in serious red. For example, company founders are buying luxury cars when the company's balance sheet is dwindling. They are paying salaries to family who are, not
Hmm.
even working in the company, having shadow board meetings before the actual board meeting, etc. So you can imagine things that
Oh.
are happening which needs to change in. And I believe corporate governance is very, very important for the growth and for to be as a company, as a country, if we want to keep growing at this rate till the next 20, 30 years, we need to ensure that our companies are doing the right thing. They take the best decisions for every stakeholder in mind. And while hustle culture comes in, once you have a clear strategy, but you can't step outside the line. So hence, for ecosystem stability, etc., I think these principles are very important.
So, what I gathered is that it's clear that corporate governance is more than just a set of rules, and it's
Yes.
about creating a culture of trust,
Yeah.
which can lead to long-term success in a sustainable manner, I think.
Right.
So, now, Sandeep, you've been a part of Directors Institute, and we'd love to hear about your ongoing experience. How have the courses and the community here contributed to your professional growth and shaped your approach to leadership?
So I've learned a lot about Companies Act, especially in relation to corporate governance. I've learned about SEBI LODR, ESG, etc. Their course material, etc. and sessions were very impactful. I think one thing which I really love about Directors Institute is that their course is relevant to changing times, and they are also changing their course very rapidly as times are changing at an even faster rate. Uh, this is something which I had, never seen in traditional learning or traditional courses that we have all done. Those were always like 5, 10 years behind. I think this is something which they are doing a commendable job in keeping ahead of times, keeping, predicting what is going to happen, making sure that people are trained on this. They are bringing in people to in lectures or in sessions who are talking about it. So they are trying to do a great job on all of those fronts. So looking forward to continuing learning with them.
Absolutely. And thank you for your kind words. And it's clear from all your responses that investing in learning is key to leadership. And it's lovely to hear how the Directors Institute has been part of your growth. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for such an insightful conversation today. Truly, your journey is filled with innovation, digital transformation, leadership, which truly has inspired us all. It's been a privilege hearing from you about your experiences and the incredible impact you've made in each of your roles. So, I'd like to, on behalf of everyone at Directors Institute, wish you nothing but continued success and growth as you continue to push boundaries in technology and business. And we are really excited to see where your visionary leadership takes you next.
Thanks for having me in the podcast. Loved interacting with you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being here. With that, we come to the end of today's episode. We hope you found Sandeep's story as inspiring as we did. His insights on leadership, AI, and digital transformation are sure to resonate with anyone navigating the future of business. So stay tuned for more stories and strategies from some of the most influential leaders across industries. Until next time, keep innovating, keep learning, and as always, find joy in your journey. Thank you.